Educational GMAT. Your partner in your GMAT journey.
Not an easy one. I'll give you guys 5 minutes for this. Think about it. As I said, all these are official questions. An automobile rental agency Yes, friends, any progress? How are you guys approaching this? So the rental agency purchases new cars from the manufacturer in lots of 5 and releases the oldest cars to an auctioneer in the lots of 3. Last year, the number of cars owned by the agency increased by 14. If a purchase of a lot and the release of a lot each count as one transaction, what is the least number of transactions that could have occurred last year? Yes, not easy, not easy. Least number of transactions. Mind you, purchasing of a lot counts as one transaction. Releasing a lot also counts as one transaction, right? Each count as one transaction. So obviously, one way to do this is that last year, let us say this transaction happened X number of times and this transaction happened Y number of times, let's say. All right. So since purchasing a lot happened X number of times, so can you tell me how many new cars were purchased?
5x.
Very nice, because purchasing happens in lots of 5. And since X number of such transactions happened, so clearly the new cars that were bought, the number of new cars that were bought by the automobile rental agency was 5x. On the other hand, releasing a lot is a transaction that we've assumed happened Y number of times. And in each of such transactions, what happens? Notice oldest cars are released to the auctioneer in lots of 3, sorry. So then how many cars were released totally? 3Y, right? So 5x cars were purchased and 3Y cars were released. So clearly this would be the total number of cars net that were purchased or that increased as far as the automobile rental agency goes. But this value is given to us as how much? Very nice. 14, right? Because the number of cars owned by the agency increased by 14 last year. So 5x minus 3y is equal to 14. And by the way, it's always good to always good to keep an eye in terms of what do we have to find out. We have to find out the least number of transactions, which means we have to find out the value of x plus y. Correct? So this is where we seem to be stuck. And the reason I say that is because from the given information, it looks like there is no other equation that we can construct. So which means we are now stuck with just one equation and two variables. So then any idea how do we proceed on this? How do we proceed on this?
Substitution.
Substitution, very nice, Sangathan. Why do you say substitution? Very nice.
Because we are looking to find the least number of transaction, it would make sense for us to go from minimum to
excellent. Yes, and how do we substitute, by the way? Well, one way to substitute is, in fact, this is, while this is just one equation and two variables, but then another implied information that we have is that x and y cannot be decimals. See, because I cannot purchase a lot 2.6 times, right? I can purchase a lot either 2 times or 3 times. So in other words, now the question is what integer values of x and y satisfy this equation? Are we clear? Right? That's the implied information here. So now multiple ways to do this. So the way I have done this is 5x is equal to 14 plus 3y. And so x is equal to 14 plus 3y upon 5. And now from now onwards, what would we do? As Sangatya rightly pointed out, let's quickly try substituting. For example, if we substitute the value of y as 1, let's say substitute the value of y as 1. Now, if we substitute the value of y as 1, what's the value of x that we get? 14 plus 3 by 5, which is 17 by 5. So this is clearly not possible because as we discussed, we are looking for integer values of x and y. So not possible. Next, we substitute the value of y equal to 2. Now, if we substitute y equal to 2 here, what do we get? 14 plus 6 by 2. Sorry, by 5, which is 20 by 5, which is 4. So notice we already have integer values of x and y, which is exactly what we were looking for. So in other words, if purchasing of the lot happens 4 times and releasing of a lot happens 2 times, then the net increase in the number of cars owned by the agency would be 14. So we anyway had to find out the value of x plus y. So we found out that x is equal to 4, y is equal to 2. So x plus y is equal to 6. That's the answer. So what's the least number of transactions that would have happened last year? 6. Gautami, Raman, Rajiv, are we clear? Okay. Any doubt, guys? And incidentally, the reason I have this question is, by the way, that this question where the number of variables exceed the number of equations, right? Here we have just one equation and two variables. Not only is this tested on quant, this is tested very frequently on data insights as well. So this is something that you need to be aware of, that many a time substitution is pretty much the only way to go. All right.